People are not just individuals, you are walking through living portals. Every person you meet subtly alters your consciousness, whether you notice it or not. This is why some encounters leave you energized, while others drain you. Why anxiety appears without a clear cause, and purpose feels fragmented. You sense shifts inside yourself, but you were never taught where they come from. Carl Jung revealed that the psyche does not exist in isolation. Through synchronicity and the collective unconscious, others become mirrors, activating hidden layers of your inner world. By the end of this video, you'll see people differently, not as coincidences, but as gateways. And once you recognize who is opening you and who is draining you, your intuition will never feel random again. The human experience is far more intricate than the surface of daily life suggests. We often think of ourselves as isolated beings, drifting through a world of separate objects and independent people. Yet this perception is an illusion, a shadow cast by habit and conditioned thinking. In truth, the very fabric of your existence is woven through countless invisible threads, connecting you to the people around you in ways that are subtle, profound, and often unnoticed. Each interaction, each shared glance, each exchange of energy is part of an intricate web, a web that carries not only your conscious intentions, but also the hidden patterns of your mind, your emotional history, and even the latent potentials that have yet to awaken. When you spend time with someone, it is not merely a social act. It is a subtle interweaving of consciousness. Your thoughts, moods, and even fleeting mental images radiate outward, entering the sphere of those you encounter, influencing their perception just as theirs influence yours. Some of these exchanges are so delicate that you may not recognize their effect at all. You might leave a conversation thinking it was ordinary, only to realize hours or days later that your awareness has shifted, that a new possibility or insight has emerged as a result. This is resonance at work, a phenomenon where two consciousnesses, when aligned, vibrate together in a subtle dance of energy. It is not mystical in the abstract sense, it is a living mechanism, a hidden pattern underlying human connection that has been quietly shaping your intuition all along. Consider the simplest of examples. You meet someone whose presence feels comforting, almost magnetic. It is not just personality or charm, it is a subtle frequency, a field of energy that aligns with the latent structures of your own mind. Suddenly, thoughts that had been dormant, ideas that had seemed inaccessible, become clear. Your intuition, previously muffled, begins to speak with greater clarity. Conversely, there are individuals whose presence triggers friction, irritation, or anxiety. At first glance, these encounters appear disruptive, even unwelcome. Yet these interactions serve a hidden purpose. They illuminate areas within you that require attention, that remain obscured, and in doing so, they activate your perceptive capacities in ways that comfort alone cannot. Every person is a node in a living network, a node that can either reveal or obscure depending on your awareness and responsiveness. This interconnection extends far beyond mere emotion or thought. Time itself begins to bend subtly in the presence of these energetic exchanges. Moments stretch or contract, intuition accelerates, and insights arrive in sudden, almost paradoxical flashes. Memory, too, behaves differently. You may recall conversations not just as events in linear sequence, but as living currents of awareness that shaped your understanding of yourself and others. Through these encounters, consciousness is expanding, constantly being recalibrated, and your intuitive capacities are being subtly tuned to detect patterns that lie beneath ordinary perception. To fully understand this, one must begin to observe not only others but also oneself in relation to others. Notice how your attention shifts, how emotions arise spontaneously, how subtle impulses, sometimes too faint to name, direct your awareness. These are the markers of resonance, the signatures of interwoven consciousness. By cultivating this sensitivity, you begin to recognize that intuition is not merely an internal faculty. It is a relational skill, a capacity that emerges at the intersection of your own mind and the minds, hearts, and energy fields of those around you. Some encounters act like amplifiers, intensifying dormant abilities, expanding perception beyond ordinary limits. Others serve as mirrors, reflecting hidden aspects of your psyche back to you with precision. Even silence shared between two people carries potential, a vibration that communicates what words cannot capture. In this way, people become portals, thresholds that, consciously navigated, allow you to perceive dimensions of reality and layers of your own consciousness previously beyond reach. This is why solitude alone is insufficient for cultivating deep intuition. While reflection and inner work are essential, they are only part of the equation. The universe is not a closed system within your mind. It is a living network in which consciousness is continuously interdependent. Your most profound insights often emerge not in isolation, but through the subtle interplay of energies with those who cross your path. By recognizing and consciously engaging with these invisible threads, you begin to live within a field of perception that is richer, more intricate, and more alive than the conventional mind has been trained to perceive. Ultimately, understanding this principle transforms not only how you relate to others, but also how you relate to reality itself. Life becomes less about control and more about attunement. It becomes less about seeking knowledge in isolation and more about participating in the living currents of consciousness that flow through every human interaction. Through this lens, people are no longer obstacles, distractions, or mere companions. They are instruments of awakening, channels through which the universe quietly teaches, tests, and expands your capacity to perceive the hidden architecture of existence. And once you begin to see life this way, every encounter, every fleeting connection, every unexpected presence becomes an opportunity to awaken a deeper, more refined form of intuition. Not all people are gateways in the same way. Some open paths effortlessly, while others present obstacles that at first seem unrelated to your growth. Yet even the most difficult encounters are teaching instruments if you are willing to perceive them as such. Think of those moments when someone unsettles you, someone whose presence ignites discomfort, impatience, or confusion. At first, it is natural to recoil, to avoid, or to dismiss the experience as irrelevant. But the truth is far more subtle. In the friction itself, in the tension you feel, lies a hidden portal. It is not the personality of the person that is the lesson, but the way their energy interacts with yours, revealing unacknowledged aspects of your own mind and spirit. These interactions can be disorienting. You may find yourself suddenly aware of patterns in thought or behavior that you had ignored for years. You may feel impulses arising that seem foreign, yet profoundly true. You may even experience a strange, almost involuntary clarity, as if the presence of another being is illuminating a corridor within your consciousness that you had not yet explored. This is not coincidence. The universe orchestrates these moments with precision, scattering keys across the landscape of your social interactions, so that awakening is never truly isolated. It is relational, it is responsive, it is alive. Consider the intensity of contrast in these exchanges. Someone may provoke fear, envy, or irritation within you, not to harm, but to catalyze perception. By triggering strong emotions, they illuminate hidden structures within your psyche that require attention. This is not about blaming them, nor is it about resisting or controlling the experience. It is about observing the energy that arises within you, noticing the subtle shifts in thought and feeling, and allowing insight to emerge. In this way, even difficult relationships, fleeting encounters, or uncomfortable interactions carry immense potential. They are portals designed to awaken perception through direct, tangible engagement with life itself. The mind often resists this idea because it seeks comfort and certainty. We are conditioned to believe that wisdom is found in calm reflection alone, or in distant study of abstract concepts. Yet real insight rarely arrives without movement, without interaction, without being mirrored in the living world. The friction of human connection bends the mind, loosens habitual thought patterns, and creates openings where intuition can slip through. It is through these openings that your perception begins to expand, revealing layers of reality that you could not have accessed in isolation. Notice, too, that these portals are often subtle. The person may not even be aware of the role they are playing. A colleague who challenges your assumptions, a friend who forces you to question long-held beliefs, a stranger whose behavior elicits unease, all of them act as instruments of awakening, whether consciously or unconsciously. The key lies in your awareness. By learning to recognize the effect others have on your energy, your attention, and your perception, you begin to understand that intuition is relational. It is a product of interaction, reflection, and resonance. The awakening that occurs through these portals is not abrupt. It is gradual, cumulative, and experiential. You start noticing patterns, how certain people bring clarity to specific areas of your mind, how interactions leave traces of awareness long after the encounter has ended, how subtle energy shifts can hint at truths that cannot yet be articulated. Over time, you begin to move through the world with heightened sensitivity, attuned not only to your own internal signals, but also to the unspoken currents of consciousness flowing around you. This is the skill of using people as portals, the ability to observe, respond, and integrate the energies they offer into a richer, more expansive awareness. And yet, this path requires courage. It demands that you resist the urge to label experiences as purely good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. The true portal lies beyond judgment, beyond preference, and beyond expectation. It is found in the deliberate observation of energy, the recognition of reflection, and the willingness to see the unseen patterns in human connection. Once you accept this, life begins to feel less random. Encounters no longer seem accidental. Even the moments that once felt uncomfortable or confusing now carry meaning. They are signposts, guiding you toward deeper understanding and awakening, revealing that intuition is not a solitary gift, but a living dialogue with the consciousness of the world itself. Here is the moment where everything you have sensed, glimpsed, and wondered about converges. The truth is deceptively simple, yet profoundly transformative. People are portals. Not metaphorically, not as a figure of speech, but as actual conduits of perception and consciousness. They carry energy, frequencies, and vibrations that interact with your own in ways that can awaken latent awareness, sharpen intuition, and reveal truth that would otherwise remain invisible. This is the hidden architecture of human interaction, an intricate lattice of resonance, reflection, and energetic transmission, quietly guiding those who are willing to notice. Each person you meet vibrates at a unique frequency, shaped by their experiences, beliefs, intentions, and unspoken emotions. These frequencies interact with yours, sometimes harmonizing, sometimes clashing, and sometimes illuminating aspects of your own mind that you have never fully explored. When alignment occurs, your awareness expands, ideas arise effortlessly, insights arrive without conscious effort. You suddenly understand patterns in your life that were previously obscured. And when friction occurs, when frequencies collide, the effect is no less potent. The discomfort, tension, or challenge that arises is a signal, a signpost directing you toward the hidden truths within yourself that demand attention, reflection, and integration. This is the mechanism by which intuition is cultivated. Contrary to popular belief, intuition is not merely an internal faculty, a private skill to be polished in isolation. It is relational. It emerges precisely at the intersection of your consciousness and the consciousness of others. Every gesture, every tone, every glance, every unspoken emotional nuance carries encoded information, signals that your mind, body, and soul can learn to interpret if you are attuned. The mastery lies not in controlling others, but in perceiving them, listening to the resonance, and discerning the hidden patterns in their energy. Think of your life as a vast network of potential portals. Some people open pathways into creative insight. Others illuminate the shadow regions of your psyche. Some act as accelerators of perception, amplifying your latent abilities. Others serve as mirrors, reflecting aspects of your being that remain unseen, allowing you to recognize what has been obscured by habit, denial, or fear. Even fleeting interactions, strangers, brief conversations, chance encounters, can act as keys to dimensions of awareness that you had not yet considered. The universe is orchestrating these moments with exquisite precision, scattering them across your path like breadcrumbs for the awakening mind. The process requires more than passive observation. It requires presence. It requires that you feel without judgment, perceive without resistance, and respond without preconception. When you begin to sense the energy of others consciously, you discover a subtle intelligence at work, a dialogue that is not verbal but vibrational. You notice how certain people bring clarity to specific areas of your consciousness, how other presences provoke reflection on hidden aspects of yourself, How the simplest gestures carry profound signals of guidance. These are the portals, and learning to navigate them is the secret that transforms ordinary life into a living classroom of insight and intuition. Awareness of these portals reshapes your relationship with reality itself. Life is no longer a series of random events, disconnected interactions, or isolated experiences. Each moment, each person, each exchange is part of a vast symphony of consciousness. The world begins to speak to you in subtleties previously unnoticed. Intuition becomes not a rare gift, but a natural emergent property of your engagement with this living web. You begin to perceive cause and effect not only in the physical sense, but in the energetic and psychic dimensions. You notice how thought, intention, and attention subtly influence the people around you, and in turn, how their presence echoes back, revealing hidden paths forward. The deeper truth is that mastery of intuition is mastery of relational perception. It is learning to recognize, interpret, and engage with the portals that surround you. And with this awareness comes responsibility, not in the sense of control over others, but in the sense of cultivating discernment, integrity, and attentiveness. To walk through life blind to this architecture is to ignore a vast reservoir of guidance and insight. To awaken to it is to realize that the universe does not withhold wisdom, it has encoded it in human interaction itself. At its core, this understanding shifts your perception of both people and the self. You begin to see that isolation is an illusion, that true insight emerges in the spaces between consciousnesses, and that your intuition is a living dialogue with the entire network of awareness that surrounds you. People are no longer simply companions, acquaintances, or obstacles. They are keys, portals, and instruments through which the universe quietly reveals its hidden design. And once you recognize this, once you attune to the resonance, your life begins to unfold according to a deeper logic, one that had always been present but invisible, waiting for your consciousness to notice and engage. Think back to the moments in your life when you felt truly seen, when someone seemed to understand you without words, when a conversation left a lingering impression on your awareness. Perhaps it was a friend who asked a question that penetrated the surface of your thoughts, opening a window into hidden parts of yourself. Perhaps it was a stranger whose energy resonated with something deep within, creating a fleeting sense of clarity or recognition. These moments are rarely accidental. They are portals, deliberate, though often invisible intersections of consciousness that invite you to perceive more fully, to awaken latent intuition, and to recognize the subtle architecture of your own mind. It is easy to dismiss these experiences as coincidence or sentimentality, to tell yourself that the insights that emerge are simply your own doing. Yet the truth is that intuition does not operate in isolation. It is relational. It is shaped, influenced, and amplified by the energies you encounter in others. When someone enters your life and ignites awareness, they act as a mirror, reflecting not only what you already know, but also what you have yet to see. And the more you allow yourself to recognize and engage with these reflections, the more your perception deepens, the more your awareness expands, and the more your ability to interpret subtle signals becomes refined. Consider how certain people trigger experiences that feel uncomfortable or confusing. It may be irritation, doubt, or unease, yet these very reactions are invitations to look inward. These interactions act as catalysts, illuminating blind spots, revealing unresolved patterns, and prompting reflection on areas of your consciousness that have been hidden or neglected. Even in moments of tension, there is potential for awakening. By observing the energy they bring, the emotional resonance they trigger, and the subtle shifts in your own thoughts and feelings, you begin to see not only them but yourself with extraordinary clarity. These encounters are not obstacles, they are keys, portals that, when navigated consciously, reveal layers of your own mind and spirit that were previously inaccessible. The beauty of this process lies in its intimacy. Awakening does not occur solely in grand revelations or mystical experiences. It is found in the ordinary, in the microcosm of human interaction. A shared glance, a fleeting smile, a carefully chosen word, all carry encoded information, subtle signals that communicate on a level beyond the rational mind. These are the tools of intuition, the language of resonance that guides your consciousness toward insight. When you begin to recognize and honor them, life itself becomes a teacher, and each person you encounter becomes a living guide, helping you navigate both the external world and the inner landscapes of your own psyche. Moreover, this awareness fosters profound connection and compassion. When you see others as portals, you begin to perceive them not merely as sources of influence or challenge, but as mirrors of the universal intelligence that flows through all consciousness. Their actions, words, and presence are imbued with meaning, even when subtle or hidden. And as you attune to this truth, you discover that intuition is not simply about acquiring knowledge or predicting outcomes. It is about entering into a living dialogue with existence itself, a dialogue in which empathy, perception, and awareness merge. Recognizing these portals requires courage. It requires the willingness to be vulnerable, to feel deeply, and to engage fully with the subtle currents of energy and awareness that flow through every human interaction. It is an invitation to step beyond habit, to observe without judgment, and to honor the intelligence inherent in every encounter. By doing so, you cultivate not only your intuition, but also your capacity for genuine connection, understanding, and presence. In this way, your relationships are no longer merely social or transactional. They become a sacred space, a laboratory for awareness, and a living network through which the universe communicates directly with you. The most profound insight emerges when you realize that these portals have always been present. You have been walking among them, sometimes unaware, sometimes ignoring, sometimes resisting. Yet even the briefest encounters contain seeds of awakening. Every moment in which you recognize the resonance of another consciousness is a step into deeper perception, a step toward seeing the hidden architecture of your own mind, and a step toward understanding the subtle mechanics of intuition itself. The people around you are not merely companions in life. They are living instruments, mirrors, and portals, each holding a fragment of wisdom, insight, and energetic guidance that is uniquely theirs to offer and uniquely yours to perceive. To engage with the truth that people are portals is to begin a practice that transforms not only perception, but the very way you move through life. Awakening does not require dramatic gestures or mystical rituals. It is quiet, subtle, and profoundly effective when approached with deliberate presence. The first step is awareness, an active noticing of the energies that surround you, the subtle shifts in your own thoughts, feelings, and impulses as they respond to the people around you. This is not mere observation. It is the cultivation of sensitivity, a conscious attunement to the invisible currents that shape your experience. Begin with presence. In conversation, allow yourself to feel the energy of the other person fully, without judgment or interpretation. Notice how their tone, posture, and subtle expressions influence your own internal state. Observe the thoughts and emotions that arise spontaneously. These are the first signals, the indicators of resonance, friction, or alignment. They are the language of portals, waiting to be recognized. As you practice this, intuition emerges naturally as a byproduct of your deepened awareness, rather than as a force you try to summon. Next, practice discernment. Not every interaction is meant to open a portal, and not every person is a guide for your consciousness. Some people amplify clarity, others reflect hidden shadows, and some merely carry energy that passes through without significant effect. The key lies in noticing the subtle differences, learning to feel the resonance that aligns with your own growth, and responding with conscious attention. Over time, you begin to map the energetic landscape of your relationships, recognizing which connections elevate insight, which illuminate hidden patterns, and which teach through contrast or tension. Allow curiosity to guide you. Step into moments that feel uncertain or challenging, not as obstacles, but as opportunities to awaken perception. If someone unsettles you, resists you, or provokes a strong emotional reaction, do not recoil automatically. Observe, feel, and trace the currents within yourself. These reactions are indicators that a portal is present, that the interaction contains hidden guidance waiting to be received. The friction itself is part of the awakening process, a doorway to understanding aspects of yourself and reality that remain unperceived in the absence of challenge. Engage with intention. Once you recognize these portals, you can consciously navigate them. Enter conversations and encounters not only with politeness or habit, but with attentiveness, presence, and openness. Sense the subtle harmonies, notice the hidden signals, and allow insight to flow through you as a living dialogue with consciousness itself. The more intentional your engagement, the more precise the awakening, and the more your intuition becomes a natural extension of the interactions around you. Finally, integrate. The awakening that comes through these portals is not separate from life. It is life itself, woven into the texture of your daily interactions, decisions, and relationships. Each insight, each intuitive nudge, each subtle recognition of energy is a step toward living with heightened perception, conscious alignment, and mystical clarity. The portals are always present. The choice to enter, observe, and awaken is yours. This is not a call to seek externally, but to perceive deeply, to recognize the hidden currents, and to allow intuition to emerge as an innate relational force that guides you through life with subtle wisdom and precise awareness. The practice is ongoing. Each day presents new portals, new frequencies, new opportunities to awaken. The more attentive you become, the more you notice the hidden patterns, the deeper the resonance with your own inner knowing, and the more fully your intuition functions as a living relational intelligence. This is the path of conscious awakening. Quiet, subtle, persistent, and profoundly transformative. By stepping into the awareness of portals, you open a doorway not only into the consciousness of others but into the hidden depths of your own, revealing a universe of insight, guidance, and hidden knowledge that has always been present, waiting for your recognition. The portals have always been here. They exist in the subtle exchanges of energy that occur every moment, in the spaces between words, in the weight of a glance, in the echo of a shared silence. They are not hidden or secret in the conventional sense. They are simply overlooked, ignored, or misinterpreted by a mind that has grown accustomed to perceiving life as separate, linear, and predictable. Yet when you attune to the flow, when you allow presence and awareness to deepen, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Each person you encounter, each fleeting moment of resonance or friction, carries the potential to reveal layers of your own consciousness, layers that have been waiting quietly, patiently, for recognition. Life itself is composed of these living thresholds. Some appear as mentors, friends, or companions. Some appear as strangers, challenges, or obstacles. Yet all contain a fragment of truth, a fragment of awareness, a fragment of the universe, encoded in energy, expression, and subtle interaction. And the astonishing realization is this: the doorway is never closed. It has always been open. The universe does not withhold insight or guidance. It merely waits for your awareness, for the courage to step fully into the moment, and for the willingness to perceive what is already present. As you recognize these portals, you begin to see life differently. No encounter is trivial. No interaction is meaningless. Even the discomforts, tensions, and challenges of human connection become sacred guides, mirrors reflecting the hidden dimensions of your own mind and the deeper currents of existence itself. Each person becomes a living instrument, a channel through which awareness, insight, and intuition flow. And in this realization, the boundaries between self and other begin to blur, revealing the profound truth that intuition is not simply an internal faculty. It is a relational force, a living dialogue with the consciousness of the world, with the intelligence that flows through every human form, every interaction, every moment. The journey through portals transforms not only perception, but also being. You begin to move through life with heightened sensitivity, attuned to resonance, energy, and subtle signals that were previously invisible. You notice the hidden architecture of relationships, the subtle currents of influence, and the quiet intelligence behind the unfolding of events. Every encounter becomes an opportunity for awakening, every presence a mirror, every conversation a doorway. And in this way, life itself becomes a living, breathing teacher, infinitely rich in wisdom, endlessly responsive, and profoundly intimate. And so the cycle completes itself. You have seen the portals. You have learned to enter through them, to perceive the currents that flow between consciousnesses, and to awaken the subtle knowing that has always been there. Yet the journey is not over, for the portals are infinite, scattered across the people, places, and moments that compose your life. They are always waiting, quietly, invisibly, patiently, And now, with awareness awakened, you can walk through them consciously, allowing intuition to emerge, guidance to reveal itself, and the hidden language of the universe to speak directly to you. The doorway has always been open. The universe has always been waiting. And now the choice to step fully through, to see, to feel, to awaken, is entirely yours. Life is no longer a sequence of separate events. It is a living network of consciousness, a web of resonance, a field of energy that responds to your perception, your attention, and your willingness to notice. And as you move forward, each step, each encounter, each glance becomes an act of recognition, an acknowledgement of the portals that surround you, and an invitation to enter into the infinite depths of awareness, intuition, and the unseen dimensions of reality itself.